Hello and welcome back to Business Business Go. Today we are going to be talking about the different people involved in the place. One of the things about the 4 Ps. So the wholesaler is the first one we're going to look at first. So the wholesaler is the person who buys large quantities of goods from many manufacturers. So it doesn't just buy them from a single manufacturer, but from many manufacturers and sells them in smaller quantities to retailers. For example, if a business requires a lot of paper, it will not purchase that from a retailer because a retailer is going to sell it in little packages, and it's they're not going to get as good a deal for the amount that they're buying. They might be buying 50 packets while the retailer will be selling one and expect that someone will only buy one. So the wholesaler will sell it to them and they'll give them a discount. Obviously, we won't actually give them a discount. What they'll do is they'll give them a better price for that amount of goods than the retailer can. Because the retailer, there are sometimes, you can sometimes get a deal from retailers when you buy in bulk. But mostly, the only people you can actually get a big enough discount when you buy in bulk are wholesalers and manufacturers. Obviously, some manufacturers act as retailers as well. In which case, what I'm saying is sometimes customers are able to get a deal by buying more than one. Just by contacting the manufacturers. Sometimes manufacturers have that availability, but obviously that's what we'll be discussing. You can view other videos where we'll discuss that. You also have cash and carry wholesalers. They are different from general wholesalers as they actually act as supermarkets to retailers. So you're actually able to go in there if you're a business and you're able to get your things there. However, consumers are not permitted to shop in them. This means that obviously you can't just as a consumer you can't just go in there and say, oh yeah, I'd like to do this. I'd like to buy this many things and then just stock up. Yet you have to be a business store, you have to be registered. There's all these sort of things involved in the this sort of thing. You have all these people involved here, and this all kind of affects the situation. Because if you look at it like this, there are many people involved here. You've got people such as the retailer, you've got people such as, the producer, and all these people, they all do all these kind of things. Now, obviously, one of the things you might be thinking about is, can you actually achieve all these aims? Are you able to do this? Because a retailer, for example, is a person who is selling the product to the consumer. Now, obviously, they are going to buy either from a manufacturer or from a wholesaler. Now, the retailer can be, just a general small sort of shop retailer, or they can be a major supermarket. Or things like that. Generally, supermarkets will tend to, sometimes a lot of the time, supermarkets will tend to cut out the wholesaler. Now and again, for certain products, they won't, because that's not an option. But they tend to do that a little bit more than smaller shops can, because smaller shops can't really have the same sort of relationship with a manufacturer or producer as a big supermarket chain can. So there's all these sort of things that a business sort of has there. When you have the consumer obviously is the person who's going to purchase the product. They're the end person. They're the person who's actually going to buy the product for, basically their own use. Now, obviously, some consumers might buy products and resell them. Sometimes that, there's a little bit of a, some products might say not for resale, not for individual sale. And obviously there you've got, when shops don't want you to continue to add cost to it. Because, after a while it begins to make products very expensive. And, it's kind of mean to the person who's at the end. I understand if you're a manufacturer to the consumer, but if you're going in the way of oh yes, this is the wholesaler, this is the retailer, and now this is the agent, and now this is the consumer. That's quite a lot of people who are adding their little, cut onto the sort of main cost of the system. So this is the kind of situation which you're thinking, you're trying to do this, Agents are the people who sell the producer's goods and services in a particular area. So a country or region, the agent generally receives a commission based on the sale made. Now this could be an actual just given money for everything made, or it could be a percentage. Now, of course, here's the thing. The agent isn't the person doing it. The agent is the service doing it. So obviously sometimes that's the same thing. Sometimes you have an individual person who is their own agent. They are the agent. But now and again you'll have companies that act as agents, such as travel agent companies or delivery service companies. They're not actually making the product. They're just shipping it to the customer. And that is a problem, because what happens there is they tend to underpay their workers. A lot of food delivery services will underpay their workers, and then the workers have to. It's quite a lot of grief, and they keep a lot of money, and they then be very successful. A lot of companies will charge a lot of money for this, and it's kind of wrong, because it adds a lot of money to the product. Then consumers might go, I won't go with that company, or I will go with this company. There's all sorts of things here. The agent is kind of, they're making money for themselves, but they are kind of, harming others in the end. So the definition of a retailer is someone who buys either from a wholesaler or a producer. Retailers operate physical stores or online stores. There are loads of different retailers around the place. You could argue retailers is there really an even there is in some cases. Some retailers are they're like, for example, you've got secondhand shops. A lot of secondhand shops, they don't, like, without them you don't have that really. I mean, you might be able to buy something from a friend, or maybe a friend will give it to you, or all these sort of things. But if you don't have that kind of system, if you don't know anyone what the thing you need, then obviously people like that, that helps. Some shops that kind of some of the retailers, they just kind of bring all these things together, and retailers can be a real benefit. But sometimes obviously some other retailers can be a little bit of a problem. If you've got people who are there are some major retailers that kind of become so big that they become kind of useless, because what they're selling is, it's something that you could theoretically buy elsewhere if it was not for the fact that that retailer is actually there, which is obviously a problem. So there are actually some major advantages and disadvantages for all the different methods of actual selling, which is what we will be talking about in the next video. So the channels of selling really are, there's a couple of them, and that's what we'll be talking about in the next video, I guess. Sorry for how short this one is, sorry for repeating myself, and hopefully you'll enjoy the next video. Hopefully you enjoyed this one. If not, you can go all elsewhere and view other videos that we have that are better, and you could subscribe to the YouTube channel, or if you don't and we don't see you back, then I guess we'll say bye forever then, and enjoy the rest of your existence.